Hi, I'm Mike from Enkai, and today we're going to be recreating Glow in the Dark by Skepta. So here we've got the drum samples. These were sliced from the original track using a simpler device and then thrown into a drum rack. When sampling the drum hits, I couldn't get the hi-hat on its own, so I'm going to go find one from my library and lay down a pattern. I think I'm going to go with a simpler device because you can play around with the pitches for the hi-hat, and I'll just try and get it as close as I can find it. Now it's just about finding the right groove that closely matches the original. Next we'll be laying down the bass line, and you can really go with any synthesizer you're comfortable using for this one. I just randomly gravitated towards a Max for Live one. I tend to write my bass lines at a higher octave just because it's easier to hear the pitch, and then you can drop it down afterwards. This will be a sub frequency, so it's going to be sitting at the bottom of the entire mix. We're going to do some fine tuning just to get it sounding right, and you may need headphones because now we're at the lower harmonics. Okay, so now we're going to add some of the more musical elements. I think the first thing we need is the flute sounding instruments. There's a couple of them in this track, so I'm going to play around with some massive patches and see what we can find that's close to it. I've made a mental note of that first flute, the Amsterdam one. It's actually perfect, but it's not the first sound that we want to put in the track just yet. Honestly, this sounds a bit trashy now, but it's what I'm after. And with a few mixing tricks, we can make it sound exactly how we want. I'm just going to play around with the MIDI notes to find the correct keys and the groove. And then we'll manipulate this. I think it's going to need some delay to make it flurry like it does in the actual track. Okay, so now I've got the pattern down. I'm going to use Ableton's delay, probably an eighth note delay, to just make the sound a bit more interesting. And I'm going to rein it in a little bit because, as you can hear, it's pretty intense at the moment. Okay, so now we're back in Native Instruments Massive, and that flute I was talking about earlier, now we need it to lay down the next bit. So on both of these flute sounds, I've done a bit of EQing just to rein in the frequencies and adjusted the delays a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to extend the arrangement here and fix one more problem before we move on to the next sound. Probably just my OCD, but I was re-listening to the original and this didn't sound perfect just yet, so I'm going to bring this MIDI note in just a little. And now we'll copy over this new version. Okay, moving on to the chorus section, we're going to need some more bass. We're using Native Instruments FM8. First I'm going to look for a chimey, crystally bell sound. That's exactly how I'd describe it. So I'm duplicating this track because I want to add a little electric piano just to sit underneath the bell sound, just to help it cut through the mix more and just to take up a bit more space in those higher frequencies. Just looking for like a spacey, eerie pad sound, but not chords, just kind of like a high note that I can hear in the song. And this is why I like doing this kind of thing, because you can hear there's a lovely call and response between the bells and the eerie space pads. And it's just deconstructing songs can teach you a lot about musical arrangement and why things sound good. And if you're confident with your sound design, you don't even need to go to these different softwares and use their preset patches. You could just probably build some of these from scratch, and you're just learning even more that way. That is something I plan to do, but right now I'm feeling lazy and this has taken far longer than I planned, so let's crack on. So these two new tracks are the main chords for the pad, which are the Serum preset you saw me playing around with earlier. And I've just duplicated it because one's an octave below the other, just to fill up that space. And I've filtered them quite severely so that they're not clashing too much. Right, I think we're more or less done here. Once again, I'm Mike from Enkai. Thank you for listening. If you found it entertaining or informative, please like and subscribe, and you'll definitely be getting more content from me in the near future.